My rich wife picked up the gift I gave her and said, "Cheap, filthy trash." Then she threw it back at my face, right there, under chandelier light bright enough to cook steak, in front of 70 people pretending not to laugh. Her parents sipped champagne like judges. The box slid across the marble, skidded into a waiter's shoe. Inside it, a first edition photo book from the coffee shop where we met. I had spent 2 weeks tracking it down, written her a note on the title page. She never opened it. She only saw the brown paper and string. I stood there, blinking through the pop of phone cameras. "That's one opinion," I said, and picked up the book. "Let me give you mine." Lila blinked, waiting for me to beg, apologize, something. Instead, I smiled, small and surgical. "I'm pulling my investment, taking back the BMW, and from now on, you're on your own." The room froze, just long enough for her father's grin to tilt. She thought I was joking. They all did. I left before the band hit its chorus. Outside, the valet looked confused when I handed him my own keys. "Sir, your wife said—" "She says a lot," I told him, sliding into the driver's seat. "Tonight she can call a rideshare." Back home, the condo felt like a showroom I'd been renting from someone else's life. I tossed my tie, opened my laptop, and logged into the family office dashboard. 2 clicks withdrew my silent partner funds from the Harrington event group. Legally clean, 5-day notice clause, executed electronically. Their next gala would miss its seed money. On my desk sat a row of color-coded index cards, each marked with neat bullet handwriting. Blue, finances; red, relationships; green, projects. I flipped through them like tarot. Under blue, I added a new line. Pull all guarantor accounts before Monday. When you marry into money, people assume you want it. I never did. I just wanted fairness, something Lila treated like a bad perfume. Spritz, smile, vanish. I poured bourbon, half glass, no ice, and replayed the party in my head. Connor Pike, her brand consultant, had stood too close all night. At one point, he brushed something from her shoulder, his hand staying a second too long. I'd caught his phone reflection in a brass wall sconce. Lila's robe, my bathroom mirror behind her. Proof enough. I didn't throw the glass. I just set it down and opened a folder named Horizon Evenings, trademark. 2 years ago, when I built their ticketing system, I'd registered the event name in my own company's portfolio, then licensed it to their firm, revocable for cause. I'd forgotten that until now. I smiled, mean and small. Somewhere between the bourbon and the heartbeat, a plan assembled itself like code compiling. Morning came crisp and silent. I drafted 3 emails. 1. To the family CFO. Notification of withdrawal. Timestamped 9:01 a.m. 2. To the condo. HOA. Reminder that Connor had been occupying the guest slot for more than 14 days. Violation letter queued. 3. To the valet service. Termination of my personal guarantor account for the Harrington penthouse. Effective immediately. Vehicles on that tab would require payment at release. It was the paper equivalent of turning off gravity 1 switch at a time. At noon, Lila called. "Are you insane?" she hissed. "No," I said. "Just solvent. You can't just pull out funds without notice." "I gave notice. It's in your inbox. You're ruining my reputation." "I'm just balancing the books. You threw the first entry." Click. By evening, gossip sites posted blurry photos from the party. It girl Lila Harrington and tech husband in public spat. She loved headlines, just not ones she didn't write. That night, I drove the BMW to my office garage. Technically mine, lease and insurance both under my name. I left her a message with polite detail. Vehicle retrieved for maintenance under registered ownership. She replied with 6 missed calls and 1 text. "You're pathetic." I stared at it until the screen dimmed, then muttered, "Finally something we agree on." 2 days later, a PR statement appeared. Lila Harrington was temporarily restructuring her event brand for creative direction. Translation: she was panicking. I visited the storage unit where we kept leftover decor inventory. Among the boxes were invoices I'd archived, imports from overseas flowers labeled eco-local. Real sustainable, right? I copied them, forwarded to her PR head anonymously. No lies, just truth. Within hours, social media turned on her. Comment threads filled with words like fake and poser. I didn't feel triumph exactly. More like accounting. Line up the debts. Mark them paid. 3 nights later, I parked on the 5th floor of the condo garage. The concrete smelled of motor oil and salt air. Connor's voice echoed before I saw him. "You think you're clever, huh?" He stepped from the shadows, gym-tight and overpriced cologne heavy. "Define clever," I said. He shoved my chest. "Stay away from her, man. You're done." "I was done months ago," I said. Another shove. Cameras blinked red in the ceiling corner. I kept my hands down. "You're being recorded, champ." He grinned. "Scared?" I slapped him. One clean, open-hand crack. Enough to shock, not injure. His jaw hung stupid for a second. "Now you are," I said. A tow truck's headlights swung in. My old friend from the yard waved paperwork. Connor's corporate permit had been revoked hours earlier. Legal, procedural. The hook clamped his shiny sports car like punctuation. Connor lunged, shouting, but the truck rolled off with a mechanical sigh. I walked away. Behind me, his echo bounced off the concrete. "You'll pay for this!" I didn't bother answering. The cameras already had. Later, back in my apartment, I heard the faint ping of an incoming email. Subject: cease and desist. Body: you are hereby instructed to refrain from interfering with the Horizon Evenings brand. Signed, Ava Sterling, PR Director. I laughed aloud. She was using my own Mark's name against me, so I replied politely, attaching the registration certificate and her own prior email acknowledging the license terms. Her response came 12 minutes later. "We'll be in touch." Yes, I thought. You will. By Friday, my withdrawal cleared. My accounts showed a pleasant bump. Their books a hollow echo. Lila's calls went unanswered. That weekend, I got a text inviting me to talk at the Harborside Hall Monday night. I almost deleted it. Then, curiosity won. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The hall was dark except for spotlights on empty tables. Lila stood near the stage in a silver dress that looked weaponized. Connor flanked her with 2 guys built like personal trainers. "So this is the part where you apologize?" she said. "For what? Proper bookkeeping?" She motioned to the men. "You think you can humiliate me and just walk?" I backed toward the service corridor. "Technically, that's what walking means." Connor's grin was all teeth. "We just want to talk, buddy." I reached behind and yanked the red fire alarm pull. A shriek filled the hall as sprinklers hissed to life. Water hit my hair, my suit, their outrage. "Conversation's over," I said, and slipped through the exit. By the time security arrived, the place looked like a rainstorm in a tuxedo shop. I drove home soaked and smiling. That was the night I stopped being reasonable. Now the pieces lined up for Phase 2. I opened the old vendor portal I'd built. Still admin, still functional. I sent every supplier a standard audit request. Update W-9, insurance, scheduling calendar. Routine, harmless. But the system automatically shifted their delivery windows 48 hours forward unless they manually unchecked a box. Every single one clicked yes. When Lila's PR head tried to confirm decor arrivals, everything was off schedule. Caterers rescheduled, florists confused, trucks arriving to locked docks. No sabotage, just logistics doing their math. Meanwhile, gossip circled like gulls. Someone leaked an audio clip of Lila calling donors bored whales. I didn't leak it, but I didn't cry either. At noon 2 days later, I stepped out of a café. Connor was across the street on a rental scooter, jaw tight, camera streaming. "Look who we have here, folks," he shouted to his followers. I rolled my eyes and walked. He zipped after me, phone in my face. "Tell everyone how you ruined a woman's career." Traffic honked. I grabbed a scooter from the rack and kicked off. He chased me through downtown, weaving past cars, shouting live. I led him through a hotel's loading zone, cut through a revolving door and out a side exit. He tried the same and clipped a planter, sprawling on polished tile. The phone skidded under a luggage cart. I stopped just long enough to say, "You should tag that fall. Maybe it'll trend." Security guards dragged him out. I disappeared into the crowd. That evening, the internet caught fire again. Sponsors pulled out of Lila's event after someone, thank you Google caching, noticed their eco-gala used diesel generators last year. Public record, posted on the generator company's website. Facts hurt sharper than lies. Ava's press release tried to plug holes faster than it made them. Connor went quiet online. Lila posted a filtered selfie captioned, "Still shining." Comments, "On borrowed light." Monday. Their press event for the next Horizon evenings. I watched from the back row, anonymous in a gray hoodie. The LED wall behind the stage blinked to life, then black. A stagehand whispered to Ava, her face drained. My takedown notice had hit the venue's inbox 10 minutes earlier. They couldn't legally display the mark without an active license. Lila's voice wobbled through the mic. "We're experiencing technical, minor issues," the crowd murmured. Phones came up. The silent black rectangle behind her glowed like judgment. I left before she finished. Outside, Connor waited in the alley, jaw tight. "You think this is over?" "Pretty much," I said. He grabbed my jacket collar. I shoved back once, hard enough to rattle him against the door. "Touch me again, and I'll have your lease revoked by morning." He froze. "You can't." I already did. I released him and walked away. By dawn, my inbox was a carnival of panic. Vendors wanted clarifications, sponsors demanded assurances, the venue threatened legal review. Ava wrote 5 emails in 1 hour, each one smaller and more desperate. I replied to none. Instead, I drove to the marina. Sunlight hit the water like broken glass. My reflection looked older, sharper, maybe honest for the first time in years. This was what it felt like to stand on even ground. Around noon, the building manager called. "Mr. Vale, per your report, the guest staying in Unit 41B is in violation of occupancy limits. We're issuing a formal notice today." "That's good," I said. "Do you want to deliver it yourself?" "Absolutely." I printed the HOA notice and slipped it under their door. 5 minutes later, it flew back out, torn in half. I laughed all the way to the elevator. By evening, news broke that Horizon evenings had been temporarily suspended pending rights clarification. The phrase went viral in a single hour. Lila's sponsors froze payments until the mark dispute cleared. She'd have to refund pre-sold tables, 6 figures minimum. I didn't hack anything. I didn't lie. I just reminded the world of the fine print she'd ignored. That night, a knock rattled my door. Lila stood there, mascara streaked, silver heels in her hand. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" "I'm correcting it," I said. "You're destroying me." "No, Lila. You did that when you traded loyalty for followers." She threw the heels at the wall. "You'll regret this." "Already do. Every anniversary." She stormed off, leaving perfume and silence behind. 2 days later came the charity gala, the one meant to prove she was still untouchable. I wasn't invited. Didn't need to be. I spent the day tightening the last screws, final cancellation notices filed, final refund audits queued, everything legal, verifiable, boring as paperclips. By 7 p.m., the event livestream froze on a loading circle. Comments exploded. "What's happening? Where's the music?" Inside the hall, I imagined chaos. The missing decor, the unpaid vendors, the lights flickering because the temporary generator contract had lapsed. She'd tried to bluff her way through, but the system doesn't forgive late payments. When you pull one thread of pretense, the whole gown unravels. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Connor. Meet me. One last time. Be a man. Attached. A location pin. Rooftop pool deck. Same building. I almost ignored it. Then I remembered how he'd looked when the toe clamp snapped over his car tire. That little flash of fear. Sometimes closure is worth the trip. The elevator hummed up 40 floors. Wind howled through the open rooftop. Lila's party flickered in half-light, a thin crowd of hangers-on clutching half-empty glasses. Connor stood by the pool, sweating in a velvet jacket. "Happy reunion," he said. "Thought you'd be at the press junket," I said. He laughed, brittle. "You win, right? You took the money, the brand, the car. What's left, huh? Gonna post my apology too?" Just came for the air. He stepped closer. "You think you're smarter than me. I don't think about you at all." He moved fast, hand on my shoulder. I slipped aside, grabbed his wrist, twisted gently till he winced. "Careful," I said. "Assault charges stick easier than hashtags." He jerked free, stumbling back, nearly into the pool. Lila's voice sliced the air behind him. "Stop it, both of you." She was barefoot, dress dripping from some earlier mishap, makeup melting in the humidity. "You wanted to ruin me, Ethan. Congratulations. You did." I shrugged. "I just stopped paying your bills." "You think anyone cares about your petty revenge? You'll crawl back, you always do." "No, you'll crawl first." I pulled a folder from my jacket, printed emails, invoices, proof of corporate card misuse. "You charged business accounts for hotel suites with your boyfriend. That triggers the prenup clause. Effective immediately, you lose claim on my holdings." Her mouth fell open. "You wouldn't." "I already did. My lawyer filed this morning." The last guests drifted back from the bar, sensing drama like sharks. The DJ lowered volume to a whisper. "You smug bastard," she whispered. "Cheaper than a divorce," I said. She lunged to slap me. I stepped sideways. Her heel slipped on wet tile. The crowd gasped as she flailed, one foot plunging into the pool. A phone flash went off, then another. Water dripped from her hair onto her ruined gown. I met her eyes once, just long enough for her to see there was nothing left to save. I turned to Connor, still pale. "Your lease paperwork's invalid as of tonight. HOA policy. I'd pack before sunrise." He didn't answer, just stared at the folder, at her, at me. The DJ cut the music completely. Only the wind and the faint click of cameras remained. She screamed after me as I walked toward the elevator. "You'll be nothing without me." I paused, half-turned. "Then I guess we're finally even." The elevator doors slid shut between us. At street level, the night smelled like ocean salt and ozone from the earlier sprinklers. My phone buzzed non-stop. Texts from reporters, lawyers, a few old friends I hadn't heard from in years. I ignored them all and drove to the office garage. Connor's car sat there, half in shadow, wheel booted again. The tow paperwork flapped under the wiper, time stamped 5 minutes earlier. I hadn't called it in. Someone else had. Maybe karma works on shifts. I leaned on the hood, watching city lights bounce off the metal. My pulse finally slowed. Everything I'd done had followed the rules. Every step left a paper trail neat enough to frame. That was the secret. Revenge isn't chaos. It's administration. Behind me, footsteps. Connor, breathing hard. "You think you're a hero now?" "Never said I was." He looked around, desperate, then laughed in a small, ugly way. "You know what she said about you? She said you were the safest bet. The kind of guy who mistakes kindness for weakness." "Sounds like her. She'll bounce back. She always does." "Not this time." I handed him a manila envelope. Inside is your non-disclosure from the supplement brand you signed in 2021, the one you violated by promoting another line. They don't know yet. If your name keeps trending, they'll find it, and they will sue. His face drained of color. You wouldn't. I won't have to. Public record. He stepped closer, jaw trembling. What do you want from me? Nothing. Just silence. He swallowed, nodded, and walked away without another word. By the time I reached the apartment, the building group chat was exploding with videos of the rooftop meltdown. Captions read, "Charity Queen drenched in scandal." Sponsors were already issuing statements of re-evaluation. People think revenge feels like fireworks. It doesn't. It feels like balance, like a spreadsheet closing to zero. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Text. You'll regret this. I typed back, I already told you. RSVP. Decline. Then I powered it off. Outside, sirens hummed somewhere distant. Not for me. Not tonight. I stood at the window, watching headlights streak along the harbor road, and felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness, not satisfaction, just the quiet relief of being done. Behind the glass, the city kept moving, loud and bright, the way it always had before we made it complicated. I turned off the light, left the empty glass on the counter, and walked out into the hallway. Some debts don't need collecting, they just need ending.